Hello everybody and welcome to another Star Wars The Expanded Universe book talk with Dorn Geek. I am your host, Dorn Geek. Today, we're going to talk about the last book in the Callista 3-book cycle called Planet of Twilight. Let's get right into it. Here we go. Yes, we are talking about Planet of Twilight today. This book was published in April of 1997. Again, we don't know exactly when in April. Fools would tell you it was published on April 1st. I know, I keep making that joke. I'm sorry. Published in April of 1997. You see the artwork up there by the amazing Drew Struzan, who did so much artwork for Star Wars, not just at this time, but like around this time, he was doing so much. This was written again by Barbara Hambly, and I'm very happy to say that I don't have nearly as many of the gripes that I had for Children of the Jedi, the first book of the Callista 3-book cycle. So we can talk about the timeline instead. All right. We don't have to get off track with complaining about her. This book takes place in 13 ABY. It took us 3 books to go 2 years. Okay. So the first 2 books, both in 12 ABY, we have finally had a year in between, and we're now at 13 years after the Battle of Yavin. We are 9 years after Return of the Jedi, where we met, well, if you were there for the original releases, where we first met Jabba the Hutt. We heard about him in episode 4. He was hinted at in episode 5, but episode 6, Return of the Jedi, is really where we met Jabba the Hutt. We met the Ewoks there. There's a reason I'm mentioning the Ewoks. That's a little tease. We're 4 years from the Thrawn books now, everybody. 4 years from the Thrawn books and from Joruus C'baoth. Oh, that crazy clone Jedi, Joruus C'baoth. Man, I'm referencing him instead of, say, Thrawn, and I'm doing it for a very specific reason. And we're actually 2 years out from the Jedi Academy trilogy now. By the way, it also makes us 3 years out from the Dark Empire comic book series, which is an important series, but not as important as these books that I'm mentioning right now for reasons, okay? And the artwork that I'm putting up, if you know the Jedi Academy trilogy, you probably have an idea of what I'm referencing. Let's look at the ages of our heroes. Luke and Leia, the Skywalker twins, are now 32 years old. I get nostalgic every time. Like, they're in their 30s now. How can... We met them when they were 19. They were just babies. Han Solo is now the age of the answer to life, the universe, and everything. Han Solo is 42 years old. But Han Solo is still very much young, boisterous, smart, strong. Don't let the fact that he's 42 make you think he's an old man. He is not. He's certainly not as old as Dorn. We're going to meet some new characters in this. The first one that we're going to meet is Seti Ashgad. And we're going to find out that Seti Ashgad is 83 years old. Now, there's a picture of him. And you're going to hear about his lore and stuff. We'll get into that. But for right now, I just want to let you know he's a fairly old guy. Even for what we consider to be young and old in Star Wars, for a human, Seti Ashgad is getting up there. Then we're going to meet Beldorian. Beldorian, you can see that you must just be guessing like, oh my God, what does that image imply about this person, Beldorian? Beldorian is old. Beldorian was born at some point before 400 BBY, and we're here at 13 ABY. So like we're talking well over 400 years old. Then we have another character, Zim. And Zim is somewhere around 250 years old, right around there, okay? We seem to imply in the book that he is indeed 250 years old. He's old. Characters in this book just seem to be older than they should be. It's an interesting dynamic. And then we have Callista. Oh, Callista. You're such a complicated in age. I don't know how else to word it. It's Callista, just to try and even discuss her age is so strange. We'll just move on from it. Let's talk about the major places that we are going to visit and have to be aware of during this book. We are going to have to be aware, and we are going to visit Coruscant. Boy, we haven't talked about Coruscant for like 2 whole books. Well, we're getting back there. To be fair, Coruscant was a part of the other 2 books, but not significant enough to talk about. Now we got to talk about it again. Coruscant, the center of the government of the galaxy. We're going to visit Namchorios. Namchorios is going to be a new planet for us to visit. As far as I know, this is the first, and one of the only, by the way, mentions, visits to Namchorios. And there's a reason why. And I'll hint at it. We'll get there. We're going to visit a city called Huegshul, which has, I've been using the word interesting throughout all of these book talks. I just don't know what other word to use. Huegshul has an interesting dynamic to the people living there, and the way that they do and do not relate to each other. We're going to visit Tesselda's home. Tesselda, a character, I didn't mention her, although maybe I should have, but I'm mentioning her now. So I didn't mention her age because I want to leave some things for you to find out, but we are going to visit Tesselda's home as you go through this book. It's not like you can miss when Tesselda shows up, so don't even worry about that. And we're also going to visit Beldorian's home. Beldorian, who I did tell you is old. And we're going to go to Beldorian's home. And again, I'm giving you a weird tease here, right? You might be a little slack-jawed over what I'm showing you there. And maybe I'm spoiling things a little bit for you, but I think it's a spoiler worth it because it's just crazy to think about, right? And then we're going to go to the Temple of Ashgod. This is going to be a place that is going to bring up a lot of other visuals. The descriptions of it are very well done. So you'll enjoy the Temple of Ashgod. The major characters in this book and the major relationships in this book, let's start talking about those. First, we got to talk about Luke and Callista. Again. This is, but it'll be different this time. There's a lot of big differences to it this time. That relationship has gone in a different direction. I'll just say that. We got to talk about Leia. Isn't that a beautiful beautiful image of Leia. I came across that and I thought it was a really nice one. I think it really fits what's going on in this book too. And her relationship with this new character, Seti Ashgad. You can make some connections to what I was talking about in the last slide there. So Leia and Seti Ashgad are going to have some interactions. Leia is also going to have some interactions with this character, Beldorian. Oh, Beldorian, what more can I say about you that's not in that image that is going to spoil it so horrifically that people won't read this book? I don't think there's anything. Suffice it to say, we will have some interactions between Leia and Beldorian, and me even just saying that probably puts images in your head. You're going to learn about the relationship between these two new characters, Tiselda, on your right, and Beldorian, on your left, as though you didn't know already what Beldorian looked like. We're going to find out the history between these two characters, how they are interrelated, what that relationship is, and I think you're going to find out things, but really, 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 the two relationships that I was most interested in as I read this book was number one, absolutely number one, the relationship between Luke and the Tsill. And you're seeing an image there and you're probably going, what does that have to do with the major relationship between two characters? I promise you it will make sense. And then the relationship that is truly, truly, truly the most important in this book. And the one gripe that I have with Barbara Hamley in this book is that she didn't wait long enough to reveal this. The hints are too obvious, so whatever. But the relationship between the Tsill and the Drock is a relationship that you're going to learn about. You'll guess it long before it gets revealed. But anyways, let's talk about major events in this book. The story of the Death Seed Plague. And I'm not 100% sure, but this might be the first time we get real deep lore on a plague in all of Star Wars. I could be wrong about that, but I think so. You're going to experience the story of Seti Ashgad, who he is, why he is where he is, and what he has done in the interim. There's an interim for Seti Ashgad. And then we're going to get the lore. This is maybe the coolest lore of this entire book, is the lore and the story of Beldorian and Tiselda. And one thing that Barbara Hamley does well is tell this story throughout the book in little bits and pieces. Honestly, I wish we got even more of the lore and history of Beldorian and Tiselda, but it's well told. What we get is very well told, and you get quite a bit. Another major thing that you're going to learn about in this book is how using the Force on Namchorios has an interesting effect. I'm kind of giving it away here, and I kind of feel bad because it's probably something I shouldn't give away this easily, but there it is. Okay. The uses of the Tsill. Okay. There was a Star Trek, I think Next Generation. Yeah, there was a Star Trek Next Generation episode very much in the same idea, and I kind of wonder if they took it from there. And then the uses of the Drock. This one is, I don't know if I should even tell you, or if I should just tell you to look for the uses of the drugs. I think that's all I'm going to say about that, because I think if I say a whole lot more, maybe any more than that, I'm going to spoil a wonderful little surprise. And that is it for the Planet of Twilight novel. Planet of Twilight, it's a little bit of a shorter book, and it's a little bit of a more compact book in its story. That's why this book talk is shorter. Again, maybe not my favorite book. It's an interesting book. It has a lot more to it than Children of the Jedi was. And again, Barbara Hambly did a much better job in this book. She doesn't get bogged down in using... She's still, still bothers me that she uses the term anti-grav instead of repulsor lift, which existed. Come on, Barbara. But she used a lot more of the Star Wars lexicon, and she did a much better job of storytelling in this one. So I have to say, I very much appreciate the effort and the growth on Hambly's part in this book. And that's it, everybody. That is the end of our journey through the Callista 3-book cycle. So my suggestion here would be listen to the abridged audiobook for Children of the Jedi. Please don't put yourself through the torture of reading that book or listening to it unabridged. The other two, especially Darksaber, you want an unabridged experience with. And that's it. That's the end of our Callista journey. For now. And we're going to be moving on in our exploration of the New Republic era of the Star Wars Expanded Universe. Our next book, The Crystal Star. I look forward to seeing you for that next book talk. Thank you, everybody, and may the Force be with you.